On Larry King Now, Drunk History creator Derek Waters. The concept is brilliant in its simplicity. A narrator recounts a historical tale as he or she becomes increasingly inebriated.
You explaining this is definitely the funniest thing I've ever heard. It's the best. My goal is always to find stories that make you go, why didn't I get taught this in school? I think it's just a different way to find truth.
How do you find your narrators?
Craigslist.
Why hasn't he had me on Drunk History? Would you have me on?
What do you mean, would I? Of course, would you?
I wouldn't narrate. I
wouldn't want you to do
Yeah,
that.
I would do it.
That would be amazing. You can move your lips.
Yeah, of course. Plus,
I did a sitcom when I was 22 that lasted for a year. It's called Married to the Kellys. And after it got canceled, this guy came up to me. He's like, man, you were on my favorite show. Why'd they cancel that? I said, oh, yeah. Thank you, but you know, family shows sometimes don't last that long. He's like, man, what was the name of it? And I was like, oh, Mary. He's like, Married with Children. What's up, Bud Bundy? It was a perfect moment of humility.
all next on Larry King Now. Welcome to Larry King Now. Our special guest is Derek Waters, creator of the hilarious, funny, Emmy-nominated Comedy Central hit, Drunk History, now in its third season. Mr. Waters is the creator of this show. The concept is brilliant in its simplicity. A narrator recounts a historical tale as he or she becomes increasingly inebriated, while a team of actors reenacts the story, stutters, hiccups, curse words, and all. Drunk History is like a who's who of comedy, with everyone from Kristen Wiig to Owen Wilson to John Lithgow making cameos, and this season no exception. Drunk History airs Tuesday at 10:30 p.m., 9:30 Central on Comedy Central. How did you come up, Mr. Waters, with this idea?
Well, I just heard
You were
Larry.
drunk one night.
Well, yes, but this has been an honor. Thank you for having me. You explaining this is definitely the funniest thing I've ever heard. It's the best. Thank you. Yes, it was a night I had with a good friend, Jake Johnson, the actor. We've been friends for a long time, and had a couple of drinks, and you know, we started talking about the great late Otis Redding, and Jake started to attempt to convince me that Otis Redding knew he was going to die in the plane that crashed. And he was telling me, you know, Otis looked at his wife and he was like, take care of yourself, baby. And she was like, I will, Otis, you take care of yourself. And he was like, no, I'm serious, take care of yourself. Otis has got to go. And I just kept picturing Otis Redding having to come back to life and reenacting this story and just saying the words, moving his lips and looking at me like, don't believe this. So I was like, oh, maybe we could do that, but how can you prove that story isn't true? And people, after a couple of drinks, they talk about music. What's something that you can call BS on and is a rarely discussed issue after some drinks? And I thought history.
You mentioned Jake Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
We recently had him on.
Oh,
Let's take a look at his version of events. You watch it. Is it true that Drunk History was inspired by you?
Yes.
Tell me how.
Because I drank too much one night while hanging out with Derek Waters, the true creator of the show. We were in our mid-20s and hanging out and decided to have a throwback college night where we got a case of Miller Lite and we hung out in my apartment and played heads-up quarters and got gabby and just started talking and having fun. And my buddy, Bill Bungeroth, who now directs Second City in Chicago, when we were growing up, had this great Otis Redding story about the day Otis died. This was before you could check things on the internet. So a great story in a bar was just fact.
Sitting on the dock of the bay.
Yes, and if you could tell a great story, then that was the truth. And so he told me the story and it blew my mind. And Derek and I got drunk in about 2004, 2005. And I go, oh boy, do I have a story for you. And I told it to him. It's probably got 2 minutes of content, the story. It took me about 45 minutes to tell it. And I thought, man, I just blew this kid's mind. The next day, he called me up. He goes, I want to come back over. I want to get you drunk. Jeremy's going to film you telling that story.
Okay, what's the truth?
All right, first of all, I've never had a throwback college night. If I did, I didn't know I was part of it. I don't know how to play quarters. I've never played it, probably because I didn't go to college.
You think this is a case of drunken memory.
But yes. But I take 18 bullets for Jake Johnson. He tells a good story, and
so let's leave it with him.
Exactly. All in all, if it's a good story, that's all that matters, right?
How do you get people to get drunk on camera?
A lot of little money. No. How to convince them?
Yeah.
I think no matter who you are, everyone wants to talk about something that they love, that they want more people to know about. Now, I never have anyone on the show that's never drank or has a drinking problem. This mechanism is only to show, cut out the intellect, get passion, and tell a story that we may have heard, but it was told a little boring. My goal is always to find stories that make you go, why didn't I get taught this in school, you know?
Like, give me one quick.
A girl named Claudette Colvin was a 15-year-old in Montgomery, Alabama, who refused to move to the black section on the bus. And that was a year before Rosa Parks did it. And the NAACP didn't think Claudette would be a good role model because she was pregnant out of wedlock and a 15-year-old. So it's not a story that's like, oh, forget Rosa Parks. It's like, God bless Rosa Parks, but let's remember
now, that's not a funny story.
No.
As you're getting drunk telling it, it comes out funny.
Right.
Although in this age of worry about drugs and addiction and cutting down on things, don't you think you're running against the grain?
My therapist asked the same thing. No, I don't, because I think it's just a different way to find truth, but I never, the goal isn't to get someone blind drunk. It's to get someone to stop trying to be funny, just being honest.
Now, this year you got Will Ferrell, right? Mm-hmm. Octavia Spencer. Is it hard to convince him to do this?
No, I humbly say it. Some people are hard, and then some people, it's funny because nobody says yes that isn't fun to work with. You know, Octavia Spencer was just the first choice. When you think of Harriet Tubman, who would be better than Octavia Spencer to play Harriet Tubman? Maybe
what if
Harriet
they don't get drunk?
Oh, they don't. The actors don't, but the narrators get drunk, and so Octavia.
The narrators always get drunk.
Oh yeah. No faking. Come on, it would be very easy to. And what's more uncomfortable than watching someone drunk is watching someone try to be drunk. There's very few people that can pull that off.
Why is this show a hit? The key question.
I think that's a great question that I can't answer, except maybe people think it's different and new and it's a comedy show, but secretly I'm trying to tell history. All the stories are 100% true, just the dialogue's off.
When we come back with the creator of Drunken History, Derek Waters, I'll find out, should I do this show?
Larry,
We'll show you a clip from the new season. Stay with us.
He got so much information through so much of his but after a while, and this is an exact quote, like he called Ambassador Halifax and was like, look, I am fucked out, okay? This goddamn woman has me from one end of the room to the other. I'm done. I can't do it. I am squirting dust. And Ambassador's like, just close your eyes and think of England. And I was like, great, okay, well, yes I will.
Would you have me on?
what do you mean, would I? Of course, would you?
I wouldn't narrate. I would.
No, I wouldn't want you to do
that. I would do it.
That would be amazing. You can move your lips.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I'll do it.
That's all it takes.
I'll do it.
Okay, thank you.
You've said I like the comedy of frustrated passion. Mm-hmm. Is that why this works?
I think it has something to do with it. You know, when you listen to someone, like I said before, whether you believe in what they say or not, I love watching someone talk about something that they believe in and that you want them to achieve this thing so hard, you know?
This is fascinating. How was the pitch to Comedy Central?
That's a great question. You know, that's why I made it just a short. It was just a short that I showed at my show at the Upright Citizens Brigade, just a one-time thing. Thought, oh, this would be funny. And then Jack Black saw it and said, oh, I want to be Ben Franklin, and you're not going to turn that down. So it just, luckily, it became a popular web series, so Comedy Central already knew, because I had pitched it to people, and they would say, like, yeah, it's very hard to play drunk. I'm like, no, you wouldn't be playing drunk. You'd be moving your lips drunk. I remember I was lucky enough to meet Bill Murray once, and he's like, what is this drunk history? And it's like, your hero, you know? And he's like, I don't get it. He's like, it's too hard to play drunk. I'm like, oh, if Bill Murray only knew, he just is moving his lips. He didn't have to play drunk.
How did you get started in all this? Who are you, Derek?
Who am I?
Are you a stand-up?
I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I'm not a I did stand up when I first started. I moved to Toronto to do Second City. I just wanted to be Chris Farley as a kid. Yeah. And then I moved here when I was 20 and did Second City out here and then the Upright Citizens Brigade. But when I moved out here, I just wanted to be an actor, so I would get roles for like auditions for stone-looking guy number 2 or drunk-sounding guy number 7, and I was like, well, I could either be bitter about this or be proactive, so I just started writing stuff for friends and myself to prove that I wasn't just a drunk-sounding person.
How did you hook up with Bob Odenkirk from Breaking Bad?
Bob Odenkirk's one of my all-time heroes, and I did a play that this woman came up to me and said, oh, can I see you do other stuff? And I said, yeah, I'm doing some stuff at Second City. She said, oh, what's it like? I said, oh, it's me and my friend trying to be like Mr. Show with Bob and David, one of his first things. And she goes, oh, that's funny. My husband's Bob Odenkirk. And coincidentally, the guy I wrote the show with was living with Bob Odenkirk's sister-in-law. And I said, well, the guy I wrote it with lives with your sister. It was just one of those things that made me go, all right, I guess I'll stay out here a little longer. So I met him through his wife.
Was he like a mentor to you?
Yeah, he is, and she's my manager still to this day.
Derek and Simon didn't happen, though, did it?
We tried. We gave it all we got. We sold it to HBO and did a little pilot for it that had Zach Galifianakis and Bill Hader in it. And it was just a pilot. It did Sundance, and then there was an old website called Super Deluxe when internet comedy was starting out. So I'm glad. It's good to struggle, because then you don't know what good feels like.
Could that be revived?
I would love if it was revived.
What do you make of the success of Big Bang Theory?
I think it's makes sense, you know? You find an audience that wants a show, and everyone on that show is so talented and funny. It's great. I miss doing stuff with Simon, but I'm very happy for him.
Coming up, we're talking about Derek's upbringing, one of my favorite cities, and his early days in comedy. That's next. Our guest is Derek Waters, the creator of Drunk History, the hysterical show, which I'll be on in the next season, right?
Yes, please. Just tell them to pick it up.
I will not pick it up. You are originally from Baltimore, which I always call the most underrated city. It's a great town. Yeah. I was there when they opened up the ballpark, and I lived through the previous days. But Baltimore is different, right?
It's different.
Lenny Bruce, an old friend of mine, great friend of mine, used to say there's no city like Baltimore.
Wow.
Baltimore's the only city where Frank Sinatra does not sell out. They don't believe he's going to be there.
Right.
So when Frank's in concert in Baltimore, it's a walk-up crowd. They don't buy tickets on Tuesday for the Friday performance because they believe it's a lie.
Right, right. We'll believe it when we see it, huh?
What is it about Baltimore?
I think it's called Charm City for a reason, and I think it's honest, you know? I think it's dirty, it's clean, it's got a mixture of everyone, you know? You can't stereotype someone when you go, oh, that person's from Baltimore, unless you hear their Baltimore accent. You're like,
no
okay, what's that?
The T is not pronounced.
Yeah, no, Baltimore, yeah. And water, it's the letter O. When I moved to Toronto, people asked me if I was British. And I was like, no, I'm not Brit, but I guess I can understand why you would think.
It's Barry Levinson's town.
Yeah, and John Waters, my dad.
You wanted to be a ball player?
Oh, yes, I did. I still do. I will find out if it happens.
You'd give it all up to be a baseball player?
Oh, 100%. Second baseman, Baltimore Orioles, that would be the dream.
What high school did you go to?
Towson High. Same high school as Divine and Michael Phelps. They don't really talk about Divine that much.
How did you get into comedy?
I just Second City, you know, just one step at a time, trying to figure out what your voice is and knowing you like comedy. But like I said, I was trying to be Chris Farley, and then as soon as I...
Improv, did you find it difficult to improv? Obviously you didn't.
Oddly, I didn't. No, I like things like this, or I don't know what you're going to ask me. I love just talking.
Know what I'm gonna ask you.
Yeah. It's just
You're
fun.
in the same boat.
Exactly. Yeah. No, but improv is very great. I'm very thankful for it.
What was your first job in L.A.?
I worked at a video store called Tower Video.
I know Tower.
Yeah.
Closed now.
Yeah. God bless it.
On Sunset.
Yes, on Sunset. And it was my first time seeing celebrities besides John Waters and Cal Ripken, you know. So I remember one day I was putting movies away and this hand just like goes on my shoulder and says, "Yo, you got American Pie?" And so I had to get Sylvester Stallone American Pie. It probably would have been funnier if I said I had to get, you know, Whoopi Goldberg American Pie.
What was your break?
I don't know. I think this Drunk History was my break. I did a sitcom when I was 22 that lasted for a year. This is a good story. It was called Married to the Kellys, and no one ever remembered the name of it except for people related to me, you know? And after it got canceled, this guy came up to me. He's like, "Man, you were on my favorite show. Why'd they cancel that?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, thank you, but, you know, family shows sometimes don't last that long." He's like, "Man, what was the name of it?" And I was like, "Oh, Mary." He's like, "Married with Children. What's up, Bud Bundy?" It was a perfect moment of humility.
Do you ever consider walking away when things weren't going well?
Oh, yeah. I did it. I've considered it 3 times. Yeah. Found a place in Baltimore, was ready to go, and then...
You were going back?
Yeah, and then just things would happen. I'm like, all right, it's just another sign to stay. So it's been 15 years. And
Were you a good second baseman?
well, good. And my parents thought I was amazing.
Play at Towson High?
No, I didn't make the team, and so I started theater because... what was really sad is after I got cut, I started umpiring Little League. If there's anything worse to do is losing a job and then watching people play what you want.
I got thrown out of a Little League game that my kids were in.
You got thrown out?
The umpire threw me out of the crowd.
What was your argument?
He made a bum call, and I said it was a bum call, and he made me leave the field.
Were those your exact words?
No. I was, did your family support your ideas to come out here?
100%, 100%. Yeah, I wouldn't be here without them. No, yeah.
What does your dad do?
My dad owns a tire business called the Waters Company since 1926, and
so you grew up comfortably.
Yeah, middle class, but not a lot of money. But my dad was just so inspiring that he had. I mean, it's three generations, and my brother will take it over, and I remember when I used to work there, and when I would get depressed out here, I would call my brother and ask him to put the phone down so I could hear the shipping tape like going over the boxes, so I could hear like, all right, I don't want to hear that noise anymore. I'm gonna stay here. So it's nice to have a brother that understands what he does isn't for me. And vice versa.
Are your parents proud that you have now begotten famous through a drunk concept?
They don't. Neither one of them drink, but they are very proud. So it's really nice. And my mom's father was my hero, and he always said nothing good ever came out of alcohol. So I feel like I got one thing.
How do you find your narrators?
Craigslist. I'm just kidding. They're friends of mine or people that I've heard
Who
about.
like to get drunk?
Who are funny. You know, either comedy writers or comedians, just because. Obviously, they're funny, but comedians know how to tell a beginning, middle, and end to a story. And that's hard to do for any human being, and then putting alcohol in that makes it even harder.
So how do you start with, like, vodka, their choice?
Whatever they're comfortable with and have never had a bad experience with.
And do they start with a drink and then start reading, or a couple? How does it work?
It's about 1 or 2 just to like loosen up, and I have them tell a story.
Is it an afternoon? Usually, what time of day they do this?
Sometimes we used to do 2 a day, which I can't do anymore. But it's usually at night, and it's about 2 hours of, as any human being in front of a camera and alcohol's involved, you're going to try to be funny. So I let that all go and then get to a couple more drinks where they're just telling me the story. But they tell it to me for about 6 hours. So
why do the stars, I'm asking myself this, not a star,
You already said yes.
Why do they agree to do it?
A lot, for all the money. No, it's I can't humbly answer that, but I would guess that it's just something that they've never done, and it's new, and it's a different form of acting. It's almost like silent filmmaking, and your lips are part of your body because you have no choice of how to deliver a line, but you can. it's a physical acting, you know, and your lips are just part of it.
So they have to remember it, or they read it?
Yeah, we have it on a loop, playing over and over again, and so it definitely makes you crazy doing it.
Derek is answering your questions in our final segment. We'll play a game of If You Only Knew. Right back with Derek Waters. Don't go away. We're back with Derek Waters, the creator of Drunk History, which airs Tuesdays at 10:30 p.m., 9:30 Central on Comedy Central. Some social media questions.
Okay.
Rebecca Allen, Facebook. What has been your favorite episode?
My favorite episode. That is a great question. I humbly say Baltimore so far, because, you know, I'm biased, but I love that episode. And we did Francis Scott Key. We learned about how he wrote the Star Spangled Banner.
Who read the lines?
Jeff Ross was in that one. He played.
Jeff is hysterical.
He is so funny.
Is there any guest star you were surprised wanted to be involved?
Octavia Spencer.
Do you do any of the episodes?
I just acting and drinking with them.
But you don't narrate?
No.
At Flutter BBY tweets, how do you choose the storytellers, and has anyone not made it through the whole thing?
Well, yeah, like I said, they're comedians, but one person didn't make it, Natasha Leggero. She was telling the story of Patty Hearst, and she had a couple too many, and she put on her bathing suit and wanted to do the rest in the bathtub, which, you know, I think sounds funny, but looking and sounding is different, and there's a fine line between funny and sad. And I said, well, we're going to come back another day. But she ended up telling the story. But
because drunk is a thin line.
It's a thin line of sad. You never want to feel bad for someone. And I never want someone to, it's not like I wouldn't film something that's sad. It's like I don't want to be part of something to exploit or...
At QT Diet LS wants to know which reenactment was most fun to do.
Oh, that's hard. That's like saying what's the best Christmas.
Yeah.
They're all good. I humbly say that. I don't have a favorite. I've loved them all.
Play a little game of You Only Knew. I just throw questions.
Love it.
Remember the first girl you kissed?
Kristen Rowe. I probably shouldn't say last names, but...
How old were you?
24. No, I was 7th grade. I think that's 12 or 13.
In Baltimore?
Mm-hmm. In the back of a Giant. That's a grocery store.
I know. Giant. I lived in Washington. Thing you're most afraid of?
Failure.
Secret talent?
I like making miniatures, like little towns. Yeah, I love that.
Drunkest you've ever been in your life?
Wow. Well, on TV or outside of TV?
Yeah, outside, I guess.
I guess I plead the fifth, because I don't remember.
Well, you drank a fifth.
Right.
Liquor of choice?
Bullet bourbon.
Bullet bourbon, what is that?
It's a really nice bourbon that's like smooth. Yeah, Bullet, yeah, it's nice.
Liquor you will not touch?
Oh, man, I got a long list. I would say Mad Dog 2020.
If you could drink with anyone in the world, who would it be?
Eddie Vedder.
If you could have something named after you, what would it be?
Man. Oh, man, I don't know. Maybe baseball field?
Not bad.
Aim high.
Favorite historical figure?
Man, that's... I'm going to say Claudette Colvin because I brought her up. I like her.
Who's a comedian we should all be paying attention to right now?
Duncan Trussell.
Most embarrassing moment?
I have a bad stomach, and I was on a date with a girl, and she asked me to go inside, and there was no way I could go inside because of my stomach, and so after she got out, I went to the bathroom in my car and drove home with that. So I guess that's not embarrassing because no one was there, but I was embarrassed for myself.
Quickly, tell me something no one knows about you.
Oh, my God. My middle name's Matthew. I don't know.
I didn't know. Derek Matthew Waters. Thank you so much.
Larry King, you're the best. Thank you for having me.
I want to thank my guest, Derek Waters. Drunk History airs Tuesdays at 10:30 p.m., 9:30 Central on Comedy Central. As always, you can find me on Twitter at King's Things. See you next time, and you'll see me on Drunk History.
Yes.